My name is Melinda Kapp. I'm a learning facilitator at Billy Blue and I look after work integrated learning, the live brief. So the question of what is work integrated learning and what is the live brief, it's a process of getting a brief from a client and over a trimester, over 12 weeks, getting an understanding of that brief, then taking those initial ideas and concepts, building them into a design development and then a final design solution to the client. Probably works on the basis of around about 3 interactions with the client. So there's 3 opportunities to actually be in front of them and to say, these are my ideas, these are then the development of those ideas, and this is the final solution. So it's a very integrated, a very important, and it can be quite a personal opportunity for students to deal with people that they normally wouldn't have an opportunity to deal with.
Hi, I'm Isabelle and I'm a recent graduate of the Bachelor of Communication Design. When I enrolled into the WIL subject, I was in the last trimester of my uni and it was during the time of COVID, so I was actually struggling to find an internship. And it was almost like a moment that Billy Blue were coming to me and saying, hey, you can't find an internship, but here, we'll bring the industry experience to you. So over a 12-week period, I had the pleasure of working with the wonderful client MIRVAC. And just to set the scene a little bit, I walk into my first class and you have the wonderful lecturer Mel, ready to go, so many skills behind her. And then you get handed this brief and you frantically start scanning it to say, what's the project, what are we going to be doing? And you see in bold that MIRVAC are seeking young creatives to re-envision the future of retail. Instantly you start going to yourself, what are the boundaries? What can we do? What can't we do? And you get right to the bottom and the client has said, we would like the students to take this in any way, shape or form that they would like. I think that is such a highlight of getting a live brief like that, where you have a client who is allowing you as a young creative to completely explore your authentic self and your design in any way, shape or form.
So the great thing about work integrated learning in the live briefs is the diversity of briefs that come to us. We'll have different students looking at different briefs. I tend to have the wonderful opportunity to work on common core briefs. That means that you can be a communications designer sitting alongside a 3D animation student with a software engineering student and get that wonderful interdisciplinary approach. The couple of briefs that come to mind which have been extraordinary are working with the Department of Education and looking at the way in which we can create content for beautiful young minds and the way in which that has been integrated into schools. The latest brief that we're working on is a brief with MIRVAC, and MIRVAC are an extraordinary client, an incredible Australian company with a massive diversity of product. They sit right at the hub of innovation, so the mix between Billy Blue and MIRVAC is fantastic. The opportunity came to us from some discussions on innovation and incubator discussions on how can we get these amazing projects and put them together. So the MIRVAC brief is about trying to re-envision the future of retail. And for some context, when we've been sitting in COVID and people haven't left their homes, how do organisations that have a very physical footprint look to connect in a different way? So that digital realm, as well as the physical realm, has been the subject of great opportunity for our students. The important thing about the way Billy Blue works is that we have industry representatives, and those industry representatives go out and as part of connecting with industry, they build these extraordinary networks. Part of that then came with this incredible opportunity to work with MIRVAC. So work with MIRVAC, and one of the amazing things that came out of that were the calibre of people that we were introducing our students to. Directors of experience within the MIRVAC space, national design managers, national technology managers. So a beautiful opportunity to bring very senior people together with these wonderful young minds and students who are ready to launch themselves into their career. So that was a fantastic opportunity. Meeting with all of those individuals obviously gave us many opportunities. The wonderful thing about MIRVAC is that they really understood from the beginning that this was about students continuing their learning, but they were equally getting as much out of this and continue to talk on that. Their highlights have been things like, it feels as if we've got professional designers in front of us already. We've had designers who have come to us not as prepared and not as insightful and not as innovative as your students are coming to us. The presentations that they've put together and the energy and the conceptual ideas are beyond what we would have expected. So I couldn't be prouder, and also for our students, so wonderful to hear that, because that ability to be able to transition your learning into something and you think this has value to industry, I think is so important. From the student perspective, I think also knowing how do I take my skills and where do I place them, developing a bit of courage to be able to do that, determining that there are networks there that they can tap into, understanding that a portfolio of work is not just about volume, but it's also about the quality of that, and the opportunity to work with MIRVAC on their brief is exactly that opportunity. So the brief from MIRVAC was on re-envisioning the future of retail. You've got this unique opportunity to look at the physical and the digital. The MIRVAC, as it was the first time that we'd had an opportunity to work with them, they were a little bit unsure as to what that could look like. Equally, we were a bit unsure as to what that would look like. But this is where the importance of building that client relationship really takes place. So whilst the students start on week 1 of that term, we've already spent with industry probably a couple of months, and then myself, there are a couple of weeks where we would just be meeting with the client to talk about what does a brief actually look like, what are their expectations, explaining also a little bit of the student journey and what learnings they're looking for and how we can best facilitate that. And I see my role as ambassador for our students to make sure that they get that and we get it right for them, but equally as a client relation manager, making sure that MIRVAC is well looked after. So this re-envisioning the future of retail, I think because of the time, it was a perfect catastrophic event, with COVID that led to us really seeing the world very differently. Incredibly, when you've got a client who's saying things have changed so quickly for us, how do we deal with this? And a group of students who are saying we've never experienced anything like this ourselves, so we've seen the world differently. There was a really incredible energy that comes with that, and that was well delivered. So the students meet with us on week 1. They get the client brief. They have to unpack that brief. What does it actually mean? What do I understand from it? Do I actually understand it? How am I going to be working with my group of maybe an animator, an interior designer, a comms student to get this working and to get it together? Thinking a little bit more broadly, equally being a little bit okay that there's a bit of fear at that stage of maybe not knowing what I need to do, but tapping into that energy and making it something positive. We then have the client explain from their perspective what the brief is and what they're looking for. MIRVAC have been amazing because they say to us, we don't want to tell you what it is that we want you to deliver that. Again, what an extraordinary opportunity, and a little frightening because they aren't giving exactly what it is that they want, but it gives the students an opportunity to explore, and that's really what it's all about. And then a couple of presentations where the students come back to them and present their own work, and it gives the client the opportunity to say, love it, or haven't really hit the mark on that, or this is what we see and this is what I'd suggest that you do, and maybe have a look at this. So rather than hearing their learning facilitator telling them, you should consider this, when an industry representative based on their brief says that to them, the power is extraordinary and the learning is twofold.
So I would say one of the biggest highlights of the live brief experience was that WIL was a multidisciplinary brief. So not only did I get to work with an amazing communication designer, I also had the pleasure of working with an incredible interior and digital designer. With this incredible team of 4 designers, at the end of 12 weeks, we proposed our final design outcome to put a butterfly sanctuary on the top of the model Moxon building. We had a brief that I think had like maybe 7 principles on it, and we picked 3, and ours was community, sustainability and the architecture or the heritage of the building. It was about creating small moments, and that's kind of why we did it. My live brief experience was almost like the icing on the cake for me as a designer. I had spent 3 years studying communication design, and I was at the peak, the end of my degree. Through the experience, I was able to connect with myself as a designer, the client themselves, and as well as with the team. And I believe it's those 3 qualities that I gained by doing the live brief. After graduation, I ended up securing an internship that I worked 2 days a week at a company called Opal Healthcare. My title at the minute is Design and Innovation Coordinator, and we build spaces and design for people living with dementia. So I feel like at the peak, I finished this degree wanting to go out into the world and help people, and I secured a job where I'm doing exactly that. My favourite part of studying with Billy Blue is definitely the community here. You have these incredibly skilled lecturers that come in and truly believe that you're going to make it in the industry and truly believe in your ideas. And then on top of that, you have this community of students that all have their different elements and spices to add to the mix. And I truly believe it was 3 years well worth spent.